which person, player, or position group would you say on these 2024 Bears has the most to prove?
This was an easy one, and it's the offensive line. Everything starts up front. And last year, I mean, they were Swiss cheese. I think they allowed the most sacks in the Big 12. They were, kind of putting different people, different places, everywhere. And throughout the entire season, it just didn't work. If Blake Shapen doesn't get hurt in that first game against Texas State, are we looking at a different record? Is it a totally different? Maybe, but we'll never know. So I think they did some good stuff. They brought in some really good players in the portal. Omar Egbedian, I think I'm saying his last name right, he was literally like the best guard in FCS from Montana State. And then they've been talking highly of Rylan Lingell, who's been around for a little bit, but has kind of taken his spot in the starting lineup. Um, and then you've got three returning starters who started for most of the season up front. So again, I think that with offensive line, it's kind of like you need all five fingers working together for it to actually work. And I think the only way you can actually do that is in the game. So I think there's certainly going to be a learning curve there, but for me, it's easy. It's the offensive line that's that they have the most to prove by far.
Jerry.
Brice, can I do that? I won't even mention the specific name, but can I do he took my answer?
What he said.
Right.
Well, and I'll say this, because that was when I saw that question, I was like, no doubt, that's that one position. But I'll kind of related to that. I'm going to put it on the running backs because that was a group that was really hyped a lot last year and just didn't get it done for whatever reason. Probably a lot because of that offensive line in front of them. But I do think there's a lot on the proving on this group because Richard Reese 2 years ago, Big 12 Offensive Freshman of the Year, and just really didn't get a lot of carries last year. But this is a really good group. Dawson Pendergrass, Dominic Richardson, Bryson Washington. I'm excited to see him. We only got to see a little bit of him last year, but I think he could be really, really good.
Yeah.
So, and I think this offense maybe fits these guys better. So and I know one of the big keys in this offense, because I was talking to Nick Florence about this earlier in the week, because he played in very similar offense. And he said, it spreads everything out and it creates lanes for the running backs. But you have to run the ball for this offense to work.
Mm.
So that's why I would say, offensive line is number one, but I would say it's a lot on the running backs to prove again, too, that they're as good as all of the hype and everything.
Yeah, yeah. And so a lot of people have asked me, how Baylor's going to do this year. We get that question all the time. Probably, Jerry, you probably get it at church, just people that run into you, they want to know how Baylor's going to be. And I usually have this sort of convoluted answer that always comes to the same conclusion, which is I really don't know. But one of the things that I always kind of pass by is it all hinges on the offensive line. And I think to Jerry's point, that ties in with the running game. It ties in with protecting your quarterback so he doesn't get hurt. Um, I agree with Jerry that, those running backs did underperform probably, but, they didn't always have a lot of holes to go through. And I also think, it will be nice to see an offense that maybe is not so predictable. I think, you had Baylor fans that knew on 3rd and 5 you were going to get a run, and then on 4th and 3 you were going to get a run. And when you're able to call out the play before it happens, the defense usually knows too. So, you know, it'll be nice to see maybe something a little more unpredictable.